At this point, I'm it's like, "Oh, Kaysha, it looks like all you're gonna be able to eat is water at this point. You can only drink water." I said, "That's what I'm getting at this point, like, I'm just really starting to hate food in general, just like at this point, I'll just have water and air, like, because, like, no matter it's have, like, some tips or something where you can, like, help me out. My extremities always have to be covered. I've always been like that, but, like, as soon as it's open and I feel air, like, cool air, it's worse. And I would not think that it was food related if I was having the problem mostly even when I'm not eating. That's not true, 'cause if I don't eat anything, I'm fine. But if I eat something, I'm just cooked. Like, automatically, throat starts closing, can't breathe. I'm like, "Jeez." So anyways, if it's not one thing, it's another, innit? Um, Perhaps this is God's way of telling me to stop eating certain foods. I don't know. But it's really frustrating to me because I was vegan like the majority of my life and I was fine with that. Like, I really enjoyed it. I felt good, very well performing, like with athletic and things like that, like sports or whatever. Training was always super fit. But in the last couple of years, since the pandemic, like on and off, it seems like my body just refuses to tolerate fruits, then vegetables. Then it's like, bro, what is going on? That's not normal. Like, and it's irritating because regardless of however, like, you choose to eat, whether you choose to be vegan, vegetarian, mostly eating protein, like meat-based protein, your body should be able to process food like normally, especially like fruits and vegetables. That's just normal. And it's like irritating because I don't know, it like food is something that really pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie. Food is something that really irritates me. So like but then again, maybe it's a positive thing in the long run because I'm constantly learning new things. Um yeah. I feel like that's how you learn things anyway because I had some car accidents before, as some of you guys know, and I got adrenal fatigue, and I ended up not being able to eat like a lot of meat based foods and stuff. Like it would just give me a lot of problems, and so like because at one point I was eating meat. Sometimes I'd go back and forth. I really didn't care. I wasn't too strict about it, but I was mostly vegan. Um, it wasn't because of humanitarian reasons or anything else. I just enjoyed it. Like I wasn't really much of a meat eater growing up. Didn't really care. Um, but after car accidents and stuff, I was like, okay, well, um, I got to be like more cautious because something's actually causing me to act up a bit. So then I started to learn, like, take a lot more things more seriously nutritionally. I started to learn a lot about the endocrine system and sorry, things in the like, and helio hydrotherapy, exercise, sleep, water, um, diet, uh, nutrients and things, and what things you need to add or whatever have every single day. And it made a huge difference. I went vegan and I I resolved all of those issues, so it was great. I actually ended up getting hypothyroidism because of the adrenal fatigue, and hypothyroidism really throws off your entire endocrine system, and any slight nudge or insult, I guess, to it can cause like inflammation or swelling or bloating, like all these different problems, right? And the doctor was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to take these medications for the rest of your life, and it's just genetic hypothyroidism." I'm like, "That's crazy. My dad nor my mother has hypothyroidism. I'm not gonna accept that." Um, and so like a nutritionist came to our church that Sabbath conveniently and started talking about hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's and like all these other things, and how you can, all these different diseases, diabetes and insulin resistance and things like that, and how you could control those things with diet and exercise. You actually can heal those things, because a lot of things were adrenal fatigue, and it's an issue that falls on you, obviously, due to car accidents or, traumatic events, and not something that stems out of genetic per se, not for everybody, right? So she talked about how to reduce the adrenal fatigue and all these other problems that you get from your endocrine system being messed up from your thyroid and things like that. So I did that, and was very healthy, felt really good. Was outside every day as much as I could, doing some exercise and in the fresh air, because that's good. Getting proper water, doing helio and hydrotherapy. So heliotherapy is obviously light therapy. If you could do it outside in the sun, that's best. And then hydrotherapy is like if you want to do hot and cold showers back and forth as much as you can handle for certain periods of time, so that you can get your blood flowing. It helps your metabolism. It also helps with your muscles regenerating from workouts and things like that. And just overall really good. So over the years, because of a lot of the different things I experienced, I had to constantly, adjust my diet in accordance to like whatever I was experiencing or whatever. But I found that what worked the best for me was vegan. However, the last 5 years, and that was good. That was good, because growing up, I was never really much of a meat eater, even though like sometimes I would eat meat because my dad ate meat. My grandma and great grandma didn't. So I wasn't really much of a meat eater. I didn't really care for it. But so the last 5 years, having like such a messed up response to like natural, like plant-based foods. And we never ate like, Bill Gates stuff or whatever. Like we make our own stuff from scratch. Like my grandma and great grandma, they're from St. Kitts. They're West Indian, and they just make everything from scratch. Like they're from the tropics, right? So it was like that. So now having such adverse reactions to it is really, really pissing me off, because my body is not one that is normal to eating meat so much. Like it's not something that I really enjoy doing. Anyway, it's kind of I say this like I don't want to sound like like a crybaby or something, but I think the way that you eat and take care of your health is very much attached to your character and who you are, the discipline that you put forward to however you choose to eat and take care of yourself. That's very much a part of who you are. And when you have something that happens that interferes with that, it's like very disheartening. Like it hurts. Like it hurts, because it's like, why, and I like once I like something, and once I do something and it works, I like to keep it. So like when different things happen, I'm just like but it's okay. It's okay, because every new thing that happens, you learn something about the body and about your health. And so anyway, if anyone has any advice for me, then by all means send it my way. But I'm going to take this as maybe God giving me a sign or something. I don't know. Everything is for God's glory, and at the end of the day, I'm learning something that's going to help me in the future. So I think that's going to be positive. All right, on to newer things. I just want to share that because I don't know, nutrition is important to me, obviously. So anyway, yeah. So in other news, before we get into the Bible, so as you guys know, like I'm in Canada, and I just want to say, like, someone I was talking to someone today, and they were like, "Oh, I see online that like Canada is doing great or whatever." I know the other day in the stream, I'm like, oh, "Okay, like, people don't know about Canada," and that's the truth. there are positive things about a country and there's negative things. Like, a country's not going to be 100% bad. Like, that's impossible. Like, I don't need, I, it's just not possible. There's going to be pros and cons to any country. That being said, right now, Canada is in a very, very bad state. And I'm, I'm going to say, as someone who has experienced a lot from the system from birth, because regardless of what anyone says, I'm Native. Like, I'm Indigenous. I'm an Indigenous woman. My mom's family's Native. My dad, he's Canadian, but his family's from the West Indies. Like, he's born in Canada, but his family's from the West Indies. And shortly after I was born, I got put into foster care and trafficked in the foster care system for a few years, and had egregious things happen to me there. I was beaten there. I was sexually assaulted there. Loads of bad stuff happening to me. The foster care documented it. And like I said in my other streams before, like, before I even got the chance to enroll into my mom's tribe, the Métis Nation, the government already documented by the time I was born that I was Indigenous. And they put me in the foster system. They didn't give my dad a reason. They made me a permanent ward of the crown like that. And that happened to, like, a lot of Native people. Like, a lot of people want to talk about per capita this, per capita that. Nobody talks about the fact that 50% of the human trafficking victims of children are Native Americans. Nobody talks about the fact that 52% of the adult human trafficking victims are Natives. The government openly confesses that they commit genocide against the Natives, and nobody cared and no one did anything about it. And for a long time growing up, after I got out of foster care, I wouldn't even tell people I was Native because I didn't want to deal with a lot of what came with being Native. I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing. Like, it is what it is. A lot of the stuff I didn't even talk about. I went my whole life not telling really anybody about what happened to me in foster care, or anything about my life really that was difficult, until it became a necessary reason. What people don't understand is that a lot of people right now are dealing with what they're dealing with because the stuff that was happening there with Natives, and people want to turn a blind eye to it, and people want to act like it doesn't exist, not a problem. I know countless Native people who have been sexually assaulted by RCMP. I have women in my family that have been assaulted physically and sexually by RCMP. I know women, friends that are Indigenous that have been sexually assaulted by RCMP. I have male family members on the black side of my family that was beaten to a pulp by RCMP. I have an uncle that was murdered by the RCMP on the Native side. Police. But they know. But anyway, so the fact of the matter is, because people want to turn a blind eye and act like, oh, per capita this, per capita that, they don't want to look at what's happening in front of their face and how that can affect them. When I was in foster care, when I was younger, the government was responsible for children being pimped out in hotels. They had it on the front page of the newspaper, and no one did anything about it. The Winnipeg Child and Family Services building, they had kids prostituting behind the building. What do they call it, Dad?
Kitty track.
Kitty track. They called it kitty track. And now what's happening to the average everyday, like, American and Canadian, it's so egregious and so disgusting. It makes me sick. Because the stuff that I experienced, I'm watching the stuff I experienced as a kid, I'm watching roll out on the everyday average citizen. And for people who are For people who are on social media, a lot of people in bigger accounts that are coming complaining about stuff, they have no idea what it's like to actually go through that. They have no idea how it affects a person, let alone a child. And then a lot of these kids, they don't have parents that they can go back to, because a lot of them get separated from their parents. They tell them, oh, your parents were doing drugs or they were doing this. They lie, and they put them with a different family that's abusing the hell out of them. And then they don't find out until decades later that the people who took them lied. We showed that on the 60s scoop information stuff that we're talking about before. We also showed how in Montana, they were misreporting the reason for the death of the indigenous people, and that they were taking these kids straight out of their home and just putting them in foster homes without any cause. And actually, in Canada, the last year that residential schools were open was 1996. I was born in 1997. Residential schools in Canada is where they took the indigenous people, raped them, took their culture, their language and traditions from them, and forced them to live with in like little schools or kind of buildings with white people who would reform them from being savages. People can say whatever they want about, like, oh, conquered this, conquered that. But now that it's happening to your kids today, and people want to, and now everyone's sitting around just complaining online, like, oh, please don't do this. I don't like this. This is pissing me off, or whatever. The men coming around, oh, we shouldn't have to deal with this. Well, the reason you're dealing with this is because you consented to it a long time ago. And I know the work that it took me to get to where I was today and who I am today. People have no clue how much effort it takes to become the person that I am today after everything I went through as a kid, let alone now, after what I went through the last 5 years. Most people who are trafficked in Canada, they're indigenous, and they also were in foster care. They're wards of the crown. Why do you think the government is going around taking everyone's kids right now? Because they know when they take them and they give them as a ward of the crown, the abuse that they'll do to them in there, they're going to groom them and prime them to take more abuse. And as soon as they are vulnerable in that situation, because they don't really care about them, it's really just collecting a check, someone is going to come along and take advantage of them, traffic them, force them into prostitution. We see that. Rape them, traffic them, kill them. And then they'll report it as a suicide or a runaway. Bless you. Because that's what they're doing. And it's crazy because people are like, oh, Canada's such a beautiful country. I'm sure Russia's beautiful too. I'm sure there's many parts of North Korea that's beautiful. I'm pretty sure China has many beautiful. Isn't China the place with those cherry blossoms? Japan. But China has like similar like beautiful trees and stuff. There's so many places around the world that are so aesthetically beautiful, but they are doing wickedness to the core. If you could live places simply because of aesthetic, then go to Venezuela or Nicaragua. I've been to Nicaragua for a mission trip with my church, my private church school when I was a kid, in grade 10. Beautiful country. Would never go there by myself. Would never go there if it wasn't the circumstance of missionary work. And we went to the small towns where we actually got to meet the local natives there and see their way of life. And the people there were beautiful. They had things internally in the family kind of sense that you wouldn't normally see in Western society because of how destroyed we are. But the government is not something you can put up with. They have the most beautiful waterfalls. They have the most beautiful ocean and beaches and sceneries. But no amount of aesthetic is worth tyranny. Canada is a beautiful country. I think it's far more beautiful than America. And I've been all over the States the last couple of years, last 5 years, due to being trafficked. I think Canada is more beautiful aesthetically. the color orientation, the different weathers that we have, and plains that we have. Plains as in terrains, with fields of either mountains or flat forests and valleys and things like that, streams, natural hot springs, and things in the like. But that's not enough. It's not enough. And it's really jarring that we're in a situation right now where people, like men in society, are going around just like, I'm going to hate these people and I'm not going to work with these people because I don't like how they look and I can't respect how they look. But these people know personally the tactics that the government is employing and know personal experience how to win against them. My dad got me back a permanent order of the crown by himself when he was like 22.
Everybody's 23.
Yeah. Early 20s. The other woman that got her child back out of the crown was a woman. I tell people all the time that shows who my father is. Men today aren't doing that for their families. My dad gave up med school. He wanted to be a neurologist. He was studying in Huntsville, Alabama, and he gave so that he could make sure that I was okay. And he won by himself. And the lawyer, they told him that you're going to lose. I mean, after everything, the lawyer, my dad told them over my dead body, but after everything, the lawyer said CPS will come in your face ever again. So now, because of men like my father, what he did years ago, it got me back by himself. They realized that CPS is not the best avenue for our children. You need to go more personally. You need to have the women in the home, or the men, someone in the family, come and do something so that they can personally cause the infliction. And the result is the same for the kids. We're watching that. I can't reconcile or understand how we are how we're doing that. Like, the risk in my mind is too high. As someone who understands from first experience what it's like to be in these situations and the hard work that it takes, and I know when you come out of those situations, nobody cares. There's no grace for you. There's no mercy for you. Nobody cares about that kid who is going to be acting out a certain way because they were literally raped continuously or beaten or starved or all sorts of madness that a child should just never experience. No one's going to care. That kid is just going to have to navigate their way through life. And if they fail, they fail. It sucks to suck. That's just not a risk that I think anyone should be okay with taking, especially now that it's on the general population. Everyone's like, oh, we care about our kids. We care about our kids. Why are you talking about people across the world? Why are you talking about Palestine or Israel? I'm not saying what's happening there on either end is not terrible, because kids shouldn't die regardless. Innocent people should never die. That's my position on anything. But when you're living in a country, you're complaining about what's happening, but you refuse to see how things started, where they started, and work with people who actually won, work with people who actually know what the solution is. You're putting more kids in that position, and you don't understand the consequences of that. Because with my level of capability, and I say this before, I say it all the time, I think I should stop. But at my level of capability and intelligence, kids like me in the system is the worst nightmare. Regardless if they're white, native, black, whatever, don't care. Your worst nightmare, because if they go out and decide to run a tirade on society, you're cooked. The people that are going around complaining, you're cooked. Because if you think that the government will strategically pick people off, you're wrong. They know exactly who they're grabbing. They know exactly what they're doing. It's like if people actually say that they wanna do something, if you're gonna talk about it, be about it, don't run your mouth. Because the risk of losing a country over something so stupid, "Oh, I don't look like this person, so I don't care," is crazy, is crazy. You can't say you care about children, but you're gonna sit by and watch loads others have this egregious abuse. The RCMP in Canada, I came back to Canada and or I arrived back in Canada, whatever, however you wanna put it. I started making, um, complaints about, uh, some of the harassment that was continuing for people who were involved having me raped, drugged, beaten, all this stuff, stalking. People actually tried to kill me, like, many times, and the RCMP were like, "Okay," and um, they sent someone to do, like, a wellness check on the RCMP lets rapists free, but they'll harass you. They'll come and harass you for nothing under the sun. People were whistleblowing in early 2020, and the response they gave us was to interrogate the hell out of us. First of all, they brutalized us when we tried to go into the court against the various agencies, including the RCMP, the Saskatchewan Health Authority, which was the provincial governing body for my provincial prison and hospital that I worked at, and took us to facilities, well, the state one at first, interrogated me all day, brutalized me, took my dad to a different part of the facility, held him down, beat him, drugged him against his will in both arms, and for many weeks, took me to my place of employment and kept me in a prison. They emptied an entire wing for me to be there alone, locked me down in a small room for 23 hours a day, didn't feed me properly, didn't clothe me properly, didn't give me proper hydration, didn't tell anyone in my family where I was. They had to be making missing person reports. And then when I got out, someone takes me to the middle of nowhere and rapes me. I have nowhere to go, and my dad is still being drugged in another facility. Our bank accounts are shut down, our cars are taken, our house is gone, my sister's gone. Because we were trying to expose stuff for COVID, the inconsistencies for contagion mitigation for COVID, and try to prevent people from dying. But when I try to make a report, that was the response for us trying to help people. But when I make a report about people who have had me attacked, raped, drugged, held at gunpoint, beaten, attacked by wild animals. People picked me up with machete, duct tape, rope, paraphernalia, all sorts of things, a tracker in the car. I was attacked, had to go to hospital. Nothing. They sent police to do a wellness check on me. I have the battle wounds alone all over my body to prove what happened to me. I have video, audio, text, too much damn evidence as far as I'm concerned, more than most people would have, by the grace of God. These people, though, do whatever the hell they want. You can't tell me that you're gonna allow something like this and that it's not going to just continue with everyone else. You think that, like, you think corruption just stops at a certain color? Like, they might be disproportionately doing things to, like, Native people and Black people, whatever, but it doesn't mean that it's not gonna extend into you, and it is extending into you because a lot of you are complaining about it now. You refuse to work with people who have been dealing with this for so long and know about how to deal with this problem, and I can't for the life of me understand it. It's so hard for me to believe reality. the evil that we live in this world. You are truly alone in this world. Aside from God, you are truly alone in this world because when you go through things like that, God is nobody cares. They just want you to perform regardless. And I think this is what the people today don't actually understand because when you go through those situations actually and nobody cares and you have to perform regardless just to be at a level and above, you're actually stronger. But what people are doing now is just complaining that they can experience it. I didn't have that opportunity. I had to pretend like it never happened. As a kid, I had to go to school and try to act normal and pretend like nothing happened. I had to operate on a level where kids would just think that I had a regular life like they did. That I just mom, dad, just normal, just living the good life. Like, you know, not like, oh no, I shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't. But what are you gonna do about it? So that's just confusing to me. That's just really confusing to me. Because power, like if you give people power to do certain things, it's gonna corrupt them, and they're gonna take it as far as they can. Because the same tactics they employed all those years ago, they're doing it to everyone now. I actually don't know very many cases of people in Canada who have gotten their child back out of permanent ward of the crown, and they keep very many records of it. Because there's also very many people who do it. As soon as their kid gets taken to permanent ward of the crown, all of your rights as a parent is surrendered. Like you're terminated. You belong to the crown. So somebody who's done literally the impossible as a young man by himself, and you want to stifle and destroy that person who has the tools and the understanding of how to go about things. And he has the evidence because I am literally the evidence. This is why my dad, this is why people hate my father so much. I am the evidence that what he's done works because he got me back, which was next, it was literally impossible. With God, anything is possible, but you get the point. And then at my level of exceptionality as a young woman in today's society, especially after I went everything I went through statistically, I should not be what I am today. But that shows the capability of men and fathers to take action. He had to figure that out himself, and he did it because he meant that he wanted a better life for me. And I'm confused why there's not more men right now in Canada and the US that don't want better lives for their kids. That don't want better lives for their wives, for their families. Why do we have to live in a country like this? I hate it here. I hate it here. And I hate it for everyone else because kids deserve peace and prosperity above all things. A kid shouldn't have to grow up understanding the realities of war, trying to mitigate all those things. The stuff that we're seeing now, they're only allowed to do this because what they were doing to the natives in the residential schools and the black people. It's the same kind of stuff. No one wants to listen. They're willing to just weave through the dark, figure it out. We'll just complain and complain enough, then all of it will go away. Kids are going to be too damaged by then, and you don't even know how to fix it. You don't even know how to fix your kid. All these kids that are coming out of these situations becoming so egregious violators. Yeah, violators. Because here in Alberta, people are talking about, oh, Canada's so great. Here in Alberta, the government started talking about how all the kids, the Canadian kids, younger and younger, were raping each other. They were arresting children younger and younger, raping each other. 16, 15, 12, 9 years old. White children. No, it's not a genetic issue. They're being groomed. They're being groomed and abused. And because they're in areas and they're with people and families or whatever that don't understand this issue. They don't understand how to fix this issue. They don't know what boundaries need to be put in place for that child to come back to normal. If they even have a father, that's even worse. If they don't, it cooks them even more. The government set this up a certain way. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They're creating the circumstances for these children to come out this way. And when I say that people genuinely do not understand just how bad what they're dealing with is, people come online and they're cursing and complaining. They've never even been punched in the face in their life. They've never had anything bad happen to them in their life. Before I even knew myself, I knew evil. People can say, oh, before this happened, before all this diversity, we had all this great stuff. And life was so great for us in Canada before all this diversity and things were so amazing. I can't even say who I was before all this crap happened to me, because from the moment of conception that I knew myself, evil was happening to me. Somebody decided that as a child, I didn't have any value and I didn't deserve to have the peace that a child should have just going through life. Because my skin was different, because I was native, because I was black. Why? Christian, what? Whatever the reason. You can never justify putting a child in a situation like that. And I'll tell people all the time, screw me, F me. F me twice on Sunday. Who cares about me? I'm an adult now. But I understand the consequences of that situation on a kid and an adult. I understand the things that I had to deal with and some things that I still deal with. And I am a very, very laid back and calm person. The things that these kids are doing today, I didn't do. I'm not doing. Because I had a father who put boundaries in place. He understood what he was watching these people do. And he meant that I wasn't going to be what these people were trying to create. How can people be so willing to sacrifice their own children because of their feelings, their hurt feelings? I don't care if I absolutely hated someone's guts. If you have the solution, and I don't really hate anybody. As of late, there are some people I really cannot stand that really make me want to vomit, but I don't hate anybody. But even if I seriously despised somebody, if they had the solution that could help the situation that we're all dealing with right now, I would be willing to work with them, because I understand the benefit of the bigger picture. And in some ways, I don't really know how to say, because it's really hard for me to feel for myself. I feel for a lot of people. It's hard for me to feel for myself, even to this day. Like, things will happen to me and I'll just be like, okay, well, it's another Tuesday, yeah, like, but I can objectively say, I guess, that I don't really like what I went through. But regardless of the fact that I went through it, I now have the knowledge. And I guess because maybe I have the personality where I can be far removed from it and like look at it a different way. in some degree compartmentalize the information and think about like problem and solution and going forward, I can have a little bit of gratitude for the understanding. I'm not saying I am grateful for what happened, for the evil. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that God can use the suffering for a greater purpose, and God is using the suffering for a greater purpose, because God doesn't want those things to happen to you. But when the devil causes these things to happen, and people choose to work with the devil to do these things because it's demonic, God flips it for his glory at the end of the day. So I can understand, like, in some capacity, how things are tending towards that direction. That being said, it doesn't mean that that should be the average, because the exception doesn't disprove the rule. And what we're seeing, despite everyone wanting to say, oh, we're elite this, we're the exceptional this, we're this, you're not showing that in your actions. You're not even showing that in your children, because your children are going around replicating the abuse that they're experiencing because you don't understand what's going on. You don't care. A lot of you aren't raising your children. You have no parents in the home. They're just on whatever. And they're going around doing all this filth. So, no, the strongest prevail beyond whatever their circumstances is, regardless, because they don't have a choice. They can't. I didn't have the option as a kid to say, oh, danger's coming, I'm going to turn around and walk away. I had to meet danger head on as a child. A lot of these kids have to meet danger head on as a child and learn to mitigate danger in real time. Smoke comes to them, and they have to find a way to get rid of it. They have to find a way to maintain their emotional composure, to know when to be quick with it and to know when to come down. They don't have the option to be fiery and hot all the time, on ready on go, because that's how you get killed. Anyone who's ever experienced real danger and real suffering understands that what a lot of these people are spouting online and doing in the street, in real danger, that's how you get killed. That's how you get killed. What I experienced the last couple of years, the last 5 years, trying to do the right thing to help people, people hunting me down, the level of abuse that I've taken, the personal sacrifice that I've made, most people would not be able to endure that. Most people, you shouldn't. But when problems come your way, you have to be prepared and you have to know what to do. I couldn't sit down and cry and complain when someone came to pick me up with a machete, duct tape, rope, paraphernalia tracker, and an abused pit bull and say, oh, please don't, please. When the pit bull was attacking me, the many pit bulls, I can say, oh, please stop. Oh, please stop. No, I had to think quick, despite the fact that I was being attacked and I had pit bulls biting my body. When I had people pulling guns on me, when I was being drugged, even in a drugged state and an intoxicated state, I had to be as alert as possible, thinking about any potential way that I could die and how I might mitigate it. I do all sorts of crafty crap to stay alive. I couldn't say, oh, please don't do this to me. People don't care. Evil people don't care. They're doing that on purpose. They want to kill you. They want to destroy your bloodline and your lineage. They want you to die. And if you beg, if you grovel, oh, please stop, it's going to get worse. And that's what we're dealing with. It's just going to get worse. When people were punching me in the face, I could say, oh, please stop. People were beating me to a pulp, I could say, oh, please, sir, please stop. No. That's not how that works. That's not how life works. And anybody who's seen real danger understands it's not how life works. You don't beg. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't negotiate with evil people. You take action. raw action in real time. You have to preemptively plan for the potential that the evil people are doing. And I didn't have the privilege of saying, I'm not going to trust this person because they look this way. I'm not going to trust this person because they just look this way. Because you know what? There was white people, there was black people involved, there was native people involved, there was every level of type of person involved that you can think of. Me, because evil knows no bounds. And I would have been retarded to sit down in the street when smoke is really going down, that I'm just going to sit down and look at one person and say, oh, that's the only person that's going to kill me. Because in the street, when things are really crazy, when you're in real danger, when you're being raped by people, when you're in one of these facilities getting raped, you don't have the luxury of being like, oh, just that one. Because you know everybody's a potential threat. Anybody circling you could potentially kill you. You need to be on high alert with anybody. You need to be able to analyze the person in front of your face and say, this is the characteristics this person is demonstrating. This is what they're doing, and this is potentially what they will do to me, and why. And this is exactly how I'm going to evade this situation and prevent myself from getting into anything with this person. This is exactly how I'm going to navigate throughout all these different scenarios with all these different people so I can not only stay alive, but thrive and get what I need out of the situation and the people around me. So that also everyone can benefit, because as long as you're actually creating a benefit for everyone around, you're actually more safe. Because not only are you creating a circumstance of success for the people, but then they find it in you too, which keeps you alive longer. That's what you have to think about when you're in real danger. All these people talking about, oh, blah, 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 yada, yada, this, whatever, complain, complain. Never been punched in the face a day in their life. I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it. And in today's society, this is why women, this is why women are doing a lot of egregious evil things that they're doing. Because as I'm 28 years of age, but as a young woman, after all that I've been through and all the things that I can still do, when I sit down and listen to men complain about hurt feelings, because they don't want to go down the street and see a nigger walking down the street because they know that the nigger is going to be the bad guy. They don't want to see a Jew. They don't want to see a Latina or Latino. They don't want to see an Asian, whatever. They just want to see pure whiteness. So they're crying and hurting. They're complaining. They're screaming. As a woman, when I see that, I have to pray consistently not to have resentment. What do you mean hurt feelings? I wish I could have went through life and only had people hurt my feelings. Oh, what a good life it would have been. I would have been a different person, a very different person. There's so many women today that have had genuine problems, beaten to a pulp by men. I've been hospitalized. My ex nearly killed me, beat me within an inch of my life, and put me in the hospital for weeks. I almost died. I've been pregnant and beaten to the point of losing children. It's over now. I don't really, it's not really anything, but it's just the point, the fact of the matter. I know many women, stories of many women, and some personally, who've experienced things like that. And when they come around and say, oh, my feelings, because I don't want to see this person, it's no wonder that women are becoming tyrants, why they're becoming demons. Because what do you mean that I have to sit down and get raped in this society? No one's going to do anything about it. The law enforcement's not going to do anything about it. The men are too scared to walk down the street and come encounter with a nigger. because they're scared they're going to get shot or whatever randomly. I don't know. So I have to worry about getting raped. And then the police won't do anything about it. Nobody will do anything about it. And then I have to sit down and listen to that same man complain about his hurt feelings. So, listen. I've had knives pulled on me. I've had guns pulled on me. And I'm calm when I walk down the street. When I leave the house, I accept the consequences of leaving the house. I expect when I leave the house that there's always a chance that something's going to happen. Why? Because the devil works overtime. There is evil in this world. Look at the great controversy. Like I've been reading for you guys. They hunted people for generations. They knew their families. Do the same thing in war. The government openly talks about doing this. The government confesses to following the families of indigenous people, documenting, putting them in homes. And then when they couldn't do that, like I said, when they couldn't no longer put in residential schools, the next year after that, when the final one closed and I was born, they were just throwing us all in CFS, Child Family Services, Child Services, and then doing the exact same thing. They keep records, they don't care. Like I said, the government documented that I was indigenous before I even enrolled into the tribe. Because they knew. They knew. They don't need you to tell them anything. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what they're doing. So for you to say, I deserve liberty just because I exist. Well, it's a republic if you can keep it. God himself in the Bible, in Isaiah, the book that I'm supposed to read right now, says that that they were a whoring nation, a whoring and a backsliding nation, and that because of that, they would be put into bondage because their own actions forced them into bondage. They created the circumstances for them to be put into bondage through their own weaknesses and their own failures over an extended period of time. And he said, if you repent, turn your heart back to God, I'll forgive you and deliver you and bless you. What are we doing in the West? I know good men. I'm not saying they don't exist in general, but they are far few in between. There should be far more. There shouldn't be this many children today experiencing this level of filth. No child should experience it. I understand evil exists, but it shouldn't be the numbers that we're seeing now. I think 90% of children in Canada are exposed to pornography before the age of 10, something like that's an egregious number. What do you think they're doing? And then you have people that are going around complaining, oh, you whore this, you whore that, home math this, prostitute this. The schools are teaching your children to do this and showing them how to do it. And when the kids come out on the other end doing it, and you blame the victim of the abuse instead of seeing clearly what is going on so that you can cut it off at the pass and prevent other children from being groomed into abuse and filth. You want to focus on what's in front of your face because that makes you feel good because then you don't have to actually deal with the issue. And then you're pissed off that women are going around like tyrants, doing all sorts of stuff. I don't agree with that. Like I said, I was raised by a father who gave me consequences. I couldn't get away with anything. I had to do what I needed to do. And I didn't have time to make mistakes. I had to learn in real time and adjust quick. In elementary, before elementary, and during, and still perform and outperform others. This can't continue. This can't continue. You can't. I don't think anyone with a brain, I don't think anyone with any sort of like logic or rational thinking skills can say that this makes sense, that this is okay. Like it doesn't. And until the women see that the men can outperform them, and they need to see that. I grew up with a father that showed me in every aspect of life that I couldn't play with him. I couldn't mess with him. That he was going to win every time because he was the one in control. He was the authority and I was the child and I needed to learn from him because he was my father and he wasn't going to put me on a level and act like we were age mates. We're not sex and company. I had to learn quick. Okay, my dad doesn't play. Better just do things the way that it needs to get done because this is what's best. I'm not going to fight him because I don't want to do the work to fight for the consequences. Give myself extra work to do what I can do what's good now and reap the benefits of it later instead of doubling or tripling my work only to screw myself even further potentially later. That's what you need men for. Women in society need to see men that are doing that, not telling them, I don't care to hear your words. Because after everything that I've gone through, you're sitting down and talking like that and thinking like that. I know you wouldn't survive if we were actually in the street because that's just not how things work when you're in the street. Straight up and down, I can tell you, I've lived on the street for years, on and off. You can't convince somebody who's actually lived on the street that that's how that functions. I'm sorry, that's not. And I'm a female, like, and I had to have my wits about me. When women see that men are prepared to deal with things, it's gonna be a very different thing because they're gonna start seeing consequences. And until they see consequences, things are not gonna it's not gonna do anything. Like I said, when you have men going around complaining and flapping their lips and you have women who are taking punches to the face by huge men. My ex was 6'4", 200 and something pounds. He was huge. I was constantly taking punches to the face. When I was being trafficked, I was taking hits from people who were bigger than me. I wasn't very big at all. I'm bigger now because the time I spent in America being on and off the street and like all different kinds of eating and all sorts of crap, adrenal and all this, whatever, eating just whatever you can. I was like 120 pounds, 5'7", 5'8", 5'7", whatever. I was small. It's crazy to me. One thing that women can't stand is seeing people that are weak. Because as a woman, if I'm this strong, how are you going to sit across from me and expect me to respect you? Like, how are you going to expect me to listen to you? Like, men are talking about, oh, well, financial this, financial that. Well, guess what? I could have had money too if I hoard myself. There were so many people that were trying to offer me money to do egregious things. And I just was like, nah, man, I'd sooner die. I could have money too if I chose to do things sideways. The government alone offered me better positions if I chose not to go forward and talk about what me and my dad were exposing. I said, no, man, I'm not going to be responsible to kill people. But you're going to sit down and talk about, oh, you don't respect this person because well, maybe they don't have the financial bracket you have. But the whole time they don't have the financial bracket is because they are risking their life time and time again to do the right thing and they refuse to bend to the will. Most people have a price. That's why a lot of these people actually have money because they can't handle the pressure. And when the pressure comes, when they feel like exploding, someone comes and they offer them what they know that they are weak to take. And they take it. They're like, oh, well, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. Well, I can't do it anymore either. It's been 5 years if I can't do it anymore. Matter of fact, it's been 28 years if I can't do this anymore. But here I am, still going, getting up, rinse and repeat. Just life, just another Tuesday. I don't want to. I can't respect anyone sitting across from me who sit down and want to act like they are a capable and respectable individual. They are scared of danger. When women and children are experiencing danger every single day and they have to navigate that through life. When I was a substitute teacher, I saw a kid who had an engraving in his hand, on his writing hand, which means he didn't do it. And it was perfect writing. They wrote words into the boy's hand. This was in America. You're telling me your feelings of avoiding danger is more important than saving children and women and even the men in society from the risk of the bigger picture of losing everything. I would rather be scared today. I am scared of this country. After everything I've been through, 100% I am scared. Because that's life. You just don't know when something's going to happen. I have courage. Never been afraid to have courage. I deal with things. I just have to. There's no choice. I'm not going to kill myself. I would never do that. I would never do that. That's not who I am. It's not how my father raised me. I deal with problems. So I have to have courage. Because you don't have choice. Because when you follow God, there's only one answer. The answer is yes. The answer is do it. Meet it. I have the choice to be like, okay, well, you know what? You can have the anticipation or the worry, I could say, of, okay, well, someone's going to do this or someone's going to do that. But I know in the moment, I'm going to perform regardless because I always do, because that's who my father is. That's what I watched my whole life. My dad's been stabbed. He had so many bad things happen to him. I've never heard him say, oh, well, you know what? I'm just too scared to deal with this, Kaysha. We're just going to have to take it lying down. To hell with that. To hell with that. I never knew. I've never known that. Yeah, there's no such thing as getting over. You don't capitulate. There's no such thing as capitulation. Even as a child, I was not capitulating. I've never been the capitulator. You have to force me. I am stubborn. I am so stubborn, and I had a lot of pride. I had so much pride. I actually, I worked on that a lot. I worked on that a lot. Some of it probably still there, but I'm not a capitulator. In fact, people are going around like, oh, we just do this and whatever. No. Because when you know real smoke, you know real danger, you know what's up. You know what's up. You have women. What kind of society feels proud, walk with their chest high, knowing that there's so many women and children getting raped? Men, first of all, being exploited and destroyed financially, mentally, physically, and emotionally so that they can go in and rape women and children. How can you as a man walk with your chest high in a country like this and say that you feel good because of your skin? What the hell? You have women. That's what I said. They don't care. They don't care. They have a buyer for every design. They have a buyer for every flavor. They don't care. You have women getting raped and beaten. You have women being trafficked. You have women. There was weeks I was vomiting blood. Like, nobody should feel proud that women are suffering to this level. I was on and off the street. The stuff that I seen and witnessed, Jesus wept. Like, I can't get out of my head. And I can't understand being in a world where Americans and Canadians, the men, are like, yeah, we're so amazing. We're the best. No. Again, F me. Screw me. I'm an adult. But I know they're doing this to me. They're doing it to kids. Why? Because it happened to me as a kid 28 years ago. For years. And after my dad got me back, do you think the people stopped? No. because there was constantly someone coming to harass me. I was in school, and they called and was like, "Oh, yeah, CPS," in front of the other kids. I was like, "For what?" And I was in a different province. The people never stop. Once you decide to follow God and you decide to do the right thing, you are at enmity with the devil, and you are at enmity with his minions, which means what? Until somebody takes their final breath, it is not over. It will never be over until one person of the two that are at enmity with each other breathes their final breath. Only then will they be satisfied. And after that, it will not just be you, it'll be your child or your wife or your husband, whoever the next kin is, because they don't want anyone coming back for vengeance. So when we have men that want to talk about, oh, how proud they are society, and oh, these immigrants coming in that are raping the women and children, who's coming to stand in between the women and children? When I was in America and I was being attacked by multiple pit bulls, two pit bulls and like two other huge dogs. There were two white men that were huge, standing adjacent, and they just stood there and watched the whole time. They didn't bat and they didn't even look shocked. They didn't. They didn't flinch. They kind of just they looked and they carried on like nothing happened, like it was just another Tuesday. I've been beaten in public, and people didn't bat an eye. Just another Tuesday. I've been sexually assaulted in public. Just another Tuesday.
People gaslight you like, oh, it didn't happen.
Oh yeah, it didn't happen 100%. I'm a liar. Yeah. I'm a liar. I'm a grifter. I'm a liar and a grifter, but I don't have enough sense to actually make money. Wherever the money's going, maybe the bank is keeping it, because I've never seen it. This is insanity. I am ashamed. I'm so sick of people saying, oh, Canada is such a great country. It's so beautiful. Are you sick? What are you, an addict?
Like China.
It's like saying, oh, well, crack feels good, but it doesn't mean it is good for you. Canada feels good in some senses. It's beautiful, like I said, but that doesn't mean it is good. The hell does that have to do with anything? I mean, that tells me the people with that mindset, they will go somewhere where they know there's active rape, treason, pillage, murder, if they can get a good show. It's like in history when all the evil was going on, wars and stuff, and they had the Olympics, which is our modern day like Olympics and World Cup. And it was the distraction, and people were going and laughing and kikiing like nothing was going on. Like people weren't dying right next door. Like people weren't being murdered and dragged out in the streets. It's funny because the Bible says that despite everything that's going on, people continue to marry and give in marriage and all this stuff and act like nothing's going on in the world. You walk by somebody, something bad happening. Oh, how beautiful the mountains are. So beautiful. Wow, let's go check out this movie. Wow, yeah, what are they playing? Oh, yeah, let's check it out. It's gonna be lit. Oh, yeah, let's go to this concert. It's going to be awesome. What is wrong with you people? Like, honest to God, what is wrong with you people? That shows that people are okay with exploitation so long as they benefit from it. So long as there's some sort of benefit that comes their way, they're like, yeah, it's all right. I'm still getting something from this country. Everybody's begging mercy and they're suffering. But at least there was a bomb concert, man, and the food, yeah. During the pandemic, Canadians were at the border waving the flag upside down, begging the Americans to save them because they were prisoners in their own cities and provinces and couldn't leave. Begging! It was on the news. But it's not enough. It, like, Canada, the West has like a huge Stockholm syndrome because everybody, they're just like, oh, there's great countries and blah, blah, blah. Structurally, the Constitution is great. In practice, nobody's doing it. Structurally, Canada was meant to look like it worked until it didn't. They structured that way on purpose. You have the government who confesses openly on their government website to genocide and all forms of other evil. They're doing medical assisted dying is the #1 cause of death right now in Canada. Government suicide is the #1 cause of death in Canada right now, and they're trying to make sure that you do it without with just verbal consent. You don't need to sign, and they also want children below the age of 12 to be able to consent. And once they consent, you can't remove your consent. So if you scheduled to murder yourself with medical assistance in dying, sorry, and it was scheduled a month in advance, and the day came and you decide you don't want to do it, it's too bad. You're dying today. You signed, you're dying. You made your agreement. You signed your death certificate. As far as the government's concerned, you're already dead and your organs are already sold. We don't have an organ donation problem anymore in Canada. We did before the pandemic. Now we don't. Same with blood donation. It doesn't matter how much evidence comes forward about the filth that's going on and the wickedness that people are experiencing, how much they're begging for help. There was a girl. What is that terrorist organization called? 7-something?
764.
764. Little girl in Alberta. My God. This terrorist organization, satanic pedophile cult, targeted this little girl and so many other children. Had her cutting herself, cutting things into her body, abusing animals, sexual abuse. They meant to kill this girl. And they were doing this in chat rooms. The RCMP wouldn't do anything. Mother was begging somebody to help her. She was scared of her own daughter at one point because she could not control her because these people had manipulated the hell out of her daughter. And then they kept going to the police, RCMP, nothing. They kept telling her she's crazy. The kid has cuts all over her body. She has messages from the people. She has all of this stuff. She's clearly being abused. The hospitals wouldn't even help her. The only time the RCMP got involved, you know when? When the FBI stepped in and demanded to have the information of what's going on and to start resolving the issue because they took over. That's when they decided, and they discovered that the person who started this was a kid in America, in West Coast, California, white boy working with another black boy. The white boy started it. He gathered a bunch of other people. Even the black boy was targeting these people, these children, getting them to pretty much try and kill themselves in the worst way online, on recording. And they went to jail. But they didn't help that woman for so long. How many children are dead because of it or raped? How many? How many people are going to continue to gaslight and sit down and act like something is really not happening. And the audacity, bro, the audacity of trying to convince people, the audacity of trying to convince people that you care about children being blown to smithereens in Israel or Palestine when children are being cut to pieces in Canada and America and no one is batting an eye. Do you think someone picks you up with a machete and duct tape and rope, paraphernalia, and abused pit bull, a tracker in the car, and a man going to meet you down the street because they want to come for tea and crackers and scones? No. Again, I'm an adult. I'm a woman, but I'm an adult. I have more fighting chance than a child. You have the audacity to lie through your teeth with your chest and try to convince people that you care about innocent women and children and trafficking. But you're diverting everyone's attention to across the world as people are successfully destroying the families in your country, the foundation of your country. You say you care about family and you don't want the immigrants, but you're allowing people to rape and kill families, destroying men. I cannot stand feminism. I hate it with every fiber of my being because I understood the abuse of feminism and what comes of it since I was a kid. Saw this my whole life. I witnessed feminism abusing me and other kids and men and people my whole life. And I consistently saw from the time I was a child people destroying my father and going after him so that they could rape and kill me. I've had it happen countless times. I can't even count how many times I've been sexually assaulted in my life. And there's countless children like that walking around right now. It's just happened too many times at this point. It's standard operating procedure. And then these are the women that you think are going to care when a guy comes and propositions them and tries to do something. They don't care. They don't feel anything for themselves. They don't have any emotion for themselves. You've killed every piece of soul that these children have left. And then they go around in a world where people don't give a damn and men are not standing up and showing that they give 3 kicks that this is happening. You can't tell me with your words that you care about children and women, and you're letting the strong men in society get destroyed. When I see people going after strong men, it makes me livid because I saw my whole life my father, a strong man, being exploited and abused so that I could immediately get abused after. Every single time throughout my life something bad happened to my dad, someone would instantly do something to me without fail, like clockwork. The only reason you destroy good men in society is so that you can rape and kill women and children. Because you want to remove yourself of the consequences. So when people are going around attacking people who are actually doing stuff, actually trying to make a difference, they are making a difference. They're doing more than other people. And you want to destroy them? The only people that are doing stuff to help prevent people from getting raped and murdered, they understand what's going on. They actually have an action plan to fix problems, and you're going to go after them? And then you're going to have the audacity to say that you care? And then you're pointing people's attention and direction to people in freaking Eastern Europe that have nothing to do with anything that's not even anything. Nothing burgers. And then pointing to Israel and Palestine. Instead of pointing to the trafficking problems here, pointing to the criminals here, pointing to the people in government here, because why? They're cowards. They don't want people to come after them because they know what the people who are strong men are dealing with here in the West. They know if they actually came out and spoke out about the things that are actually happening, they would get the persecution of the strong men and they would kill themselves because they can't handle it. Because what do when they get pissed and they get tired? They complain and they self-soothe. They don't solve issues. They don't looking for what they can do to take action. Sick. So sick. The audacity. The audacity. I don't agree, again, with people dying. unjustly. Nobody deserves to be murdered for no reason. Like, and you have no reason to murder a kid. You have no reason to rape a kid. They're innocent. You have no reason to rape anybody but a kid, the most innocent, defenseless person. I could see someone killing an adult. You could tell me, oh, okay, well, it was self-defense, it was this beef, whatever. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that, but to each their own. But a kid, you don't have any justification. You don't have any justification.
Yeah.
I want to understand why the people who are at the top, who have an investment, everybody has an investment in America going down and even Canada going down, because if Canada goes down, then as it has been and continues to with Mark Carnage, then America's cooked. They're going to continue to be cooked because Canada is the avenue. It always has been. Look at how things happened when you guys got freedom. 1776, you were under the rule of King George, Queen Charlotte of South Germany. They used Canada as a proxy where they didn't let Canada become a country until after everything was signed because it was under the crown. They did it on purpose, and they're still doing it now. The fact that this stuff is happening, you have good men in the UK being destroyed. Andrew Bridgen, they destroyed this guy, went after him for 10 years with lawfare and all sorts of evil because he was exposing the pedophiles. People in America and Canada, one guy, like my dad said, he knows the one guy talked about the other day, he's mobster, ex-mobster, he understands things, understands consequences. People who actually understand how things go and they're being taken out. What's the result? What is the result of the? I want people to really think about this. When people come on the stream, the guys that come on the stream and they're complaining and just lying about stuff, how does that save a child that's getting raped? The black people that are like, oh, it's only the white people. How does it save the black kids getting raped, or any of the kids getting raped from people who are not white? White people that are going around saying it's only the black people. How does that save the other kids that are getting raped by the white people or shot up by the white people in the schools? How does it save anybody? How is what they're doing on that stream going around and taking kids out of these situations? How is it preparing the minds of parents to see the signs and the ideology of these Luciferians, these traffickers, these feminists, a lot of people that are involved in stuff like these occultists? How is it preparing them to actually defend themselves against this evil? It's not. It's not. It's making people angry. It's making people bitter. It's making them blind with rage and resentment. It doesn't make sense. Because if you're such a strong and capable person, why don't you try to fix your own country? It's so easy for everyone to talk about someone else in another country because they're getting paid to do it. And if they weren't getting paid, they wouldn't do it. But because they're not getting paid to talk about natives in Canada or America, they're not going to do it. They're not. And the numbers they're talking about per capita, the tribes started reporting in America. The tribes and the tribal police were reporting that the indigenous people that were going missing, it was being reported that they were not indigenous, despite being on reservation, having tribal citizenship, full-blooded Indians, no less, regardless of your percentage. They were being documented as Black. They were being documented as Latina. They were being documented as Asian, so that there would be a disparity and a misunderstanding of what the real numbers are. So the numbers that they have showed us definitively are 50% of children who are trafficked are indigenous and 52% of adults that are trafficked are indigenous. But that number is not even real because they've come out and declared with the paper proof that they were lying and putting different races on the indigenous people so that they could get away with stuff. And then they would say, oh, it's a runaway. Oh, it was a drug. Oh, it was a suicide. When they had the proof that these people were trafficked. And it came out that these people were trafficked. The same thing is happening with everyone else now. Happened to me for the last 5 years. People that were hunting me down, they were saying that about me. Oh, she's not indigenous. She's black. Oh, she's Indian, like from India. Oh, she's Asian. Oh, she's Hispanic. I'm everything under the damn sun at this point. And then that was people's justification to continue doing the abuse that they were doing to me. And we found in various different places that this was a consistent pattern for human traffickers across the board. And what is happening? This is happening to everyone else in the same way. I'm watching this happen. I saw a woman whose children was being trafficked. And I went to court to testify because I was witnessing some of the stuff happen and it was discussed. They documented her white children as indigenous. Why? Because you make more money on indigenous children. And the government doesn't care if you have enrollment in a tribe. They can still document that you are indigenous because the government keeps record. Now, this lady wasn't, but they know they make more money off of indigenous people. And the government actually does keep records. So even if a Native American doesn't enroll in the tribe, the government has it documented and puts in the documents that the person is genuinely indigenous. But when they want to traffic children and move them around, they change their names, they change their race on papers, they do all sorts of stuff. So when you sit down and say, oh, the nigger's this, the nigger's that, okay, well, the white people in government that are doing this in the courts with the white families, how are you going to teach them to protect themselves and their children who are being sent all over the place and adopted out and they never see their kids ever again? And the kids are also getting raped and drugged because you know what? When I was in the foster care, they were doing the same thing to me. Drugging, raping, beating, all sorts of stuff. We used to give kids medicine to make it easier to abuse them. And you think that this is a genetic problem. So when the government is actually the one who's putting the policies in place for this to happen, the white people in government, because government's majority white, they're American. And Canada, same thing. They're Canadian. Well, what the hell? What the hell? You want everyone to fight with their neighbor who's dealing with the same filth, who needs the same level of help as you, so that the government can sit down and watch and laugh their belly full as you destroy each other, do the job for them, and then whoever's left, they'll just go in and finish, wipe it and clean it up, take the rest. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. I've never hated anyone that much. I have been, like I said, I've been raped and trafficked. I've been beaten. Had knives pulled on me, guns pulled to my head. I've been punched in the face repeatedly. Like I've been beat within an inch of my life. Like I don't think people understand what it is to be seriously beaten like by someone who's huge, over 6 feet, over 200 pounds, large, and I'm small. Beat the living daylights consistently. I know what it's like to catch smoke, inhale it, and blow it out. Send it to the heavens. Bro, where you have stuff like this happening, and the government's the one instituting it. What are you going to tell people? But be so for real, man. So for real. Now, someone said, how is there anything we can do? Honestly, you should be supporting the people. You said, who are these people you're talking about? Were you listening? Were you listening? I'm not going to play this game with people. You can rewind it and listen because I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, who are these people? How many different agencies have I listed out? How many different agencies throughout the last hour and a half did I list? I told you the RCMP is involved, the Saskatchewan Health Authority. That's our personal experience. There's different governments in America. ICE, who forced me to live with single American men under full surveillance tracking system and told me if I tried to run away or if I became homeless, that they would redetain and deport me to a country I'd never been to. I have the letter from ICE telling me they're going to deport me to a third country I've never seen in my life. And when I was in detention, I watched them do it to people all the time. Every day someone was getting deported to a random ass country. DHS was involved. Random American citizens were involved. There's a list of people. The list is too damn long at this point. This is the point. The Canadian government. There's too many. There's too many different individuals. The judges. If you go look through the documents, you can see it. If you go look at the videos of us, you can see the people involved in real time. I listed my ex-husband. He was involved. I don't know how many different things you want. I don't know if you want a damn description, if you want pictures. Go look at the research. I'm not going to spell and pronounce for you. People come here and start talking stupidity like this. Oh, who are these people? Who are they? Be so for real. Use common sense. People talk like people just don't think. Don't try to play. Do not try to play because it's not that. You could easily go back and listen to literally everything I said and all the people that I listed out. I'm not going to go list out every single name of every single person right now. It's too many to count. I'd have to pull out the document and start going through them one by one. Because these are collaborated things. You don't just have one person involved in trafficking. You can't traffic with one person. This is the mental gymnastics that people go through. This is why people think those people there in Eastern Europe are trafficking, a huge organization of trafficking, which is two people. Impossible. That's not how human trafficking works. You need judges. You need lawyers. You need police. You need teachers. You need family members. It is it's a conspiration. You need a network of people to accomplish this stuff because the amount of hands that the child needs to pass through to get this done is insurmountable. And then the people that you need to be involved with to cover it up. And the money that needs to be passed. I worked for the government. I understand how the money works. I understand the numbers that they run for these things. For bringing people into facilities legally. Imagine the money that it would take to do these things off the record, off the books. Don't play with me. And the fact that men ask questions like this is exactly why women are the way that they are today. The fact that women have to sit down, men play stupid, and then women have to sit down and spell and pronounce for you like you don't know what's going on. You know exactly what's going on. I can't stand people who pretend to be stupid. I can't stand when men pretend like they don't understand the filth that's happening and then they expect to demand respect from men and women across from them. They want to act incapacitated, incapacitate themselves while demanding capacity, demanding respect because of the color of their skin or just position or status. That's not how that works. And you want people to believe that you can deal with problems? I, as a woman, have to explain circumstances to you? Nah, bro. Nah, bro. It's not how that works. And you want to come and talk about, oh, women talking like this, women doing that. Okay, you go deal with what women dealt with or what women are dealing with now. You go be a little girl dealing with this right now and see what you're going to deal with because you guys are dealing with less and crashing out over less. This is disgusting. This is an embarrassment and it's disgusting. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of the West. I'm ashamed that I have to be in a country like this. I want to have a family, but every day I think to myself, Jesus Christ. If they did this to me, what the hell are they going to try and do to my children? Yes, they, because there's so many people that were involved. And I've listed them all. Go back. Not all of them. I listed a lot of them. Go back and listen. The people that were involved doing this to me still hunt me down to this day. I'm like, damn, what the hell's going to happen to my kids? There's a lot of women who don't even know good men. And as soon as something bad happens, the men just run. They leave. They just leave. "Oh, life is too hard. Your life is too difficult." What the hell? How is that my fault? How is it my fault? I spawned one day and the government just decided to start beef. I spawned in this world and the devil and the government was like, "You know what? That one. That's the one. That's what we choose today, and it's just what it's gonna be. Just another Tuesday." I didn't do anything. I didn't come after these people as a kid, as a baby. What the hell did I do? I was just born. It continued throughout my life, throughout my childhood. I had to go to school with this crap. Constantly in the back of my mind, people doing crap, sending people to my school to try me, like CBS for no reason. As a kid, they made me be like, "Oh, well, you have too many problems." Bro, how is that my fault? I'm literally just existing. There's so many women and children that are suffering for simply existing, and men are punishing them for existing and being a recipient of evil for just existing. So we have men that are going around being like, don't help these people because they look a certain way, and also don't help these other people that might look like us, but their life is too hard. It's too hard to be around a girl or a guy like this. It wasn't their fault. They didn't choose to be born. I guess I did. I won the race. But aside from that, and then you have the men being like, "Oh no, don't deal with them. It's just too much of a headache." Okay, but that's a symptom of a bigger problem because that actually shows what's actually going on, and you're pushing yourself consistently away from dealing with any potential possibility despite the strength and character of the person.
Go ahead.
Were you not hearing me this whole time?
Not for a while. Go ahead.
How long?
I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
But it wasn't muted before?
I guess not. No, because people were talking and listening to what you're saying. Right? So you said you're muted now, but not now. Go ahead.
Thanks for telling me. How did that happen? Bro, this was muted. It was muted. I didn't touch it. Okay, what I'm saying, when you rape children and traffic them, you turn them into little rapists. Because we had the neurologist that was talking in the clips that we showed on our show from the documentary, and he was showing how the kids, the wiring in their brain, they don't have the wiring in their brain to tell them not to do something when they see it. Kids are sponges, they soak things up. When they see it, their brain is like, "Try it, do it," because they have to learn that way. They learn through practice, see and do. So when you have people grooming your children in school and all sorts of filth, and they're intelligent children especially, they're going to pick up what they're being groomed to do at a far higher rate with a higher capacity and tenacity, ferocity than the other children, and they're gonna do it worse. This is what we're witnessing. They're doing it worse. When the kids come out and they're capable, people don't understand this. When kids are intelligent, especially when they're actually gifted, I don't care what you wanna say, color this, whatever, sub-Saharan, this, whatever. The proof is in the pudding. You can tell a gifted child when you see a gifted child. When the children are gifted and they do this filth to them, they go out doing the worst, egregious types of destruction because they can and because they feel good. They are creating addicts, they're creating little rapists and little pedophiles, and nobody is giving them the help that they need. And then they're growing up into and what these are gonna be the new people who come and make our policies because they've been groomed and nobody's fixing the issue, nobody's helping them because what they don't deserve it because you don't care, but then they're gonna go and become a politician, a doctor, a lawyer, a judge. Be so for real. Be so for real. This needs to stop. And people, a lot of reason they don't want to deal with this is because they don't want to acknowledge the fact that when you rape children, you are doing that. But anyways, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close now. I'm gonna do a stream tomorrow for the Great Controversy and the Bible because I said I would read it, but I didn't. And my dad wants to go eat, and he's my producer today, so I gotta cut. I should go eat too. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I just, I just hope that we start doing something different. We start taking action because this is crazy. This is crazy, and it's very heartbreaking. What's happening in Canada, America, the UK? We need men. We need to respect men. We need to value them because the destruction of men is how women and children go through situations like what I've experienced and so many other children are experiencing. And again, screw me, I'm an adult. But kids, no, that's unacceptable. So anyway, and by the way, guys, just before I go, I'm not I'm not personally hateful or angry about like I discussed. Like I said, for myself personally, I don't really feel much. Like I don't really it doesn't really it doesn't do anything to me much anymore. Sad when I think about this happening to other people. It's heartbreaking because I just know how much work I had to put in to get to who I was today. And I know that most people won't reach that because it's an egregious amount of work and it's damn near impossible. With God and a good father it is. So let's help out the strong men. Yeah? So anyways, take care guys. Ciao. God be with you. Stay encouraged, stay blessed. That's all the prayer I have in me today. God be with us. God have mercy. Stay strong. Amen.